now that when she said it, like I was like, oh, it kind of does, and especially if like, yeah, I don't drink beer, so for me, like it definitely never made that connection. So she like sent it to me. She's like, oh, it broke, and I'm like asking her, and I'm like, how thick is your phone? And she was like,
what
phone?
Oh,
I'm like,
why would that?
Oh no, what did you use it? Yeah, but anyway.
And welcome to episode 101 of the Riley Black Project with Crystal and John.
That's crazy. Hi.
Right? Isn't it crazy?
It's very crazy.
I'm not going to number them. This is the one after 100. Yeah. And if you're watching on YouTube and you're wondering why isn't it populated, whatever, because it was alive.
Oh, right.
So we did add it to the playlist, but if you're just looking on videos and you're like, how come it goes from 99 to 101?
It in like a weird spot.
It's in the live section, and it's our only live right now on YouTube. So it's the only video there. So
it's kind of annoying because I wanted to do more lives because I heard like it does help your what do you call it? Your
And
views,
you added it to did add it to the playlist.
I did. And it's in a row. Yeah.
But if you go to just our videos, it'll go from 99 to 101. That's why. So if you're watching it. Also want to give a shout out. We don't have the ads ready for them. But Lens,
they don't have
this. It's a script. I didn't want to put it all on them. But, Lens Digital. If you're looking for a rotary, the Pi Burn, awesome. We love it. They're the new grip. Yeah. Seems to be awesome from what we see. Eon USA. We love our Mirror 9 and all their, we can't say enough about their techs and their support team. And that crazy laser dad Will.
He's something.
He is something.
Yeah.
So go check him out. Go check your blanks if you need blanks. Yeah. If you need keychain thingies and you don't want to go to keychainthingies.com.
Listen, if you're buying stuff from Will already, toss some keychain thingies in
throw some in there. You know, don't worry. It's all one place. So those keychain thingies are our keychain things. Yes. So enough with that stuff. For the business is out the way.
Who we got?
Who wants to invite our guest on? Keisha from K. Bromell Design. That was on purpose.
Job.
That was on purpose. Because I always Keisha, I always flub the intro and the guest name and their company, and she makes fun of me. I didn't forget that was just for the fun. Sure. It was.
Okay.
She said it, bro. Mel, just like it's spelled.
Okay.
Yes. How's it going?
Hey guys, how are y'all doing?
Good.
As you can tell, we have fun here on the show.
We do. We try.
Which is good.
Yeah.
I love the show, so I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
I mean,
Thanks
she was one of our, she is one of our listeners, and you're also one of our patrons too, right?
I'm not a patron, but I was one of your first. I found you on YouTube first.
So
I was a YouTube listener, and then I came over to the Facebook group. Now I knew who you were already, but it came up on my
like suggestions feed or something. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I want to listen. I would be up late at night working. So I started at the beginning, started going through it. Okay, now they're on the podcast. So let's see.
I love it.
Nice.
Yeah. And I mean, I think she reached out because someone had mentioned they wanted to hear from someone with a diode, or I had mentioned it, and she was like, hey, I got a diode. And I was like, let's go. Because there wasn't anybody in my circle that I knew with a diode. And there were a couple people that had been like suggested to me, and I just hadn't got around to reaching out to them. So it was kind of perfect.
Yeah.
So tell us about how you got into the laser world with your diode. Like, how did your business come about and all that?
Okay. So for background, I've had a laser for about 7 months now. So I'm still new to this industry, in this world. But the reason that I chose it was I was actually looking for a new Cricut. So I have a Cricut machine because, of course, the gateway drug
exactly.
choice. Sure. And I was looking at, I think this was in around May, June. So I think that was around the time the Maker 3 was just coming out and everyone was putting out their videos. So I was considering that or getting the first one because they were all going on sale. And at the time that I was watching a lot of people's YouTube videos and such, get to your YouTube research. So as I'm doing my YouTube research, I noticed that some of the owners of the Maker had also recently put out videos with this laser cutter called the xTool D1. They had just been doing their like really hard social media push, like everybody and their mom got one during this push that they did over the summer because they were they just gotten out of that kind of beta phase, and they're reaching out, of course, to all the YouTubers for it. So I went down the rabbit hole that YouTube is and started watching all these videos. And I was like, well, this is not too much of a difference in price. Because I also was looking at, like, Sizer just was releasing one. Silhouette had the new 24-inch. So all those were around that $500 range of pricing.
Yeah.
I was like, well, but this would do wood and other materials. And I could still, because I mainly cut cardstock and paper with my... For the backstory, my main income for the past few years has been as a cake decorator. So I would make cake toppers. Yeah. And what I was looking for was faster ways to make my cake toppers because I hate cleaning off my mat.
Right.
So the new ones all had a,
especially with paper. I liked how you could do, especially if you're used to vinyl, because vinyl has that like paper, like, but it's almost like coated paper. It's like it comes off easily.
It peels on one sheet.
Yeah, you peel it off and it comes off. But like anytime I'd use cardstock, you had to use, like, I actually had to use what I call like a dirty mat. Like you kind of rub it against like a pillow or a blanket or something like that. So it's like, it's still sticky, but not like sticky enough that it sticks to it. Right. But otherwise, especially if it's a fresh mat, you're not getting that cardstock off of that mat without tearing it into a bunch of little pieces. And you can't get your thing off that you cut and made, let alone everything else that's on there. So it's great for that, but it's also kind of a pain in the butt for that as well. But with cake toppers especially, it's a great option because it's a cheaper option. So you can have like a custom cake topper without it being like acrylic or wood, and it's still kind of, it looks cool and it looks nice, but it's not as expensive to the decorator or the purchaser.
To manufacture, exactly. Right. Because you got layered cardstock, I can get a 50 pack and 4 layers cut out of one sheet. So your ROI on that is excellent for layered cardstock cake toppers. Yeah. Wanting to look at the ones that cut matless. So it went down the rabbit hole that YouTube took me down with all these laser videos. I'm like, well, maybe I should try that because then I could do both, because I love wood cake toppers. Wood's like just an aesthetic that I enjoy. I like that natural, like, Scandinavian type of look of things. Yeah. So that's what I got it for in the first week of June of 2022. Now, and I'd had the Cricut. The Cricut was actually a gift from a teacher I used to work with. I asked her if she still had it because I wanted to do t-shirts for my husband and my daughter for his first
sorry, I was telling him to turn you up for me. I couldn't really. I can't hear you great, but you're good. Okay.
Wanted to do t-shirts for my daughter's first, my daughter and my husband's first Father's Day. Now I didn't stick with t-shirts because that's annoying. But
t-shirts are awful. Literally anybody who's ever made t-shirts like once or like 10 times or 200 times, everyone always agrees. It's temporary. It's always temporary. Or you move into better equipment. Like it's the Cricut or the Silhouette, it's always your like it's if you like it, great. Now you need to find a more efficient way of doing it because it's just, and I'm sure a lot of people find ways to make it efficient, but it's difficult, especially if you want to do like big run or really make like a ton of money. So,
and they market them so well because I didn't realize that you could get a commercial cutter for the same price that you can for a maker. That was interesting. But that's it. I mean, that's $100 difference, and you can get a 24-inch, like, I forget, they're like on those stands.
Right. Oh yeah, I didn't realize those were so cheap.
They're so affordable. I didn't know it. The U.S. cutters.
Yeah.
Speaking of all things laser, check out Houston Acrylic at houstonacrylic.com for reliable laser tested and laser approved materials.
Made for makers by makers, Houston Acrylic features over 450 styles of acrylic sheets. With over 50 new arrivals being released this month, Houston Acrylic is committed to bringing new and innovative styles to the laser community. My personal favorite is the matte, anything matte, and I feel it's perfect for everything.
Don't forget to save 10% by using our exclusive coupon code TRBP10 at checkout. Get inspired today and visit houstonacrylic.com.
Do it. So I love US. So it's US Cutter. side note, is actually where I get all of my masking from. I use the high-tech for, well, let me see. I used to use the high-tech for pre-painted or pre-stained stuff, but I don't do
no wood anymore.
No staining, no painting, no none of that.
Yeah, so I getting rid of
so
your
the high-tech is good for that. But other than that, I use the medium tech. I think it's 582U is the technical like number or name of it. But yeah, the masking from US Cutter, it's my favorite. And I get the 12-inch roll because then you don't have to, like, it literally fits, one sheet. Obviously a Glowforge size sheet. And then I also get the 6-inch roll. And that's like a little laser hack for me, because if you're doing like scraps or you've ever like had to pull off the masking from something, but now it's a scrap that you want to use later, now you have the little 6-inch roll instead of trying to get a small piece from your 12-inch roll. So little side tangent. I love US Cutter.
So theirs is affordable. So that's how it started into this.
Yeah.
But crafting has always been there. So I would make my own cake toppers before I ever got the cutter, the Cricut. I would cut them out by like print them, laminate them, and cut them out by hand. Or I would do handmade signs. But I didn't have stencils then, so I would actually print out people's names, print them reversed and stencil them on using carbon paper, and then hand paint them. I'm glad so I need to find faster and more efficient ways to get these things done. So I was like, okay, I will try this. I will try this because it was an affordable option, and I know that I could cut like paper in one pass, and it was shipped quick, which was also a factor. So I was like, I'm impatient. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try this, but I need to try this now.
Yeah.
So when people in the groups, like they will, they say quite often, because I'm in almost all the groups now, like the Glowforge groups and the of course, xTool has their own group. It's a really active group. If anybody's looking at that group, their group is really active. Mom with a Laser, which is where I already seen your post from. So I already knew, that's where I knew who you were, but I didn't know you had podcast. So in those groups, people mention a lot about having diodes, or they're so slow and I don't know what to do with it. But I think the issue is that they're not doing things that the diode does very, very well.
Right, like
because it's a tool. And it does
just like a Glowforge. But I mean, people just, they don't have they're kind of like me. I didn't really do my research. I didn't know anything about lasers. And again, it depends on what you want to do, finding the right tool for that job. And it's hard because a lot of times when we buy these tools, as you mentioned, we think we want to do one thing and then we try it, and that often changes into something else. So while you could buy, a tool that it's great for cutting and that's all you need it to really do because you don't plan on engraving, and then, you cut like whatever you think you want to make and then you hate it or you don't like it as much as you think. And then now you're like, I want to try engraving. And, some of them aren't the fastest at engraving. And so then, you set it and have to watch it for 3 hours or whatever. But yeah.
Yes, exactly. So when I got it, that was my intro to the laser world. And that's what I want to explain. Like, you don't have to stick with the diode forever. It doesn't have to be a forever machine. It is the great way to get into it without you don't know what you want to do.
Exactly.
Because you can try everything and test everything. And as I sent Crystal my notes earlier today about all the different things that
I love that. Listen, I have to give you a shout out as far as that goes too, because we've never received that before. There's never been notes or I want to cover this or whatever. So it was great. And we are trying to go more toward, when we can, the more educational side too. Like, we want to know everybody's story. Like, we love that. And that's kind of like what the podcast morphed into. But we do also, and there would be like tips and tricks, sprinkled in.
Right.
But if we can choose something from our guests that they have a specialty in, spending a little bit of extra time on that topic and making sure that, we're just adding a little bit more value to the people who listen. And there have been people who have been asking about diodes a lot because there's many pros to them because of I mean, just the price alone helps you, get in there. And that's one thing that kind of sucks about how the Glowforge price changed, because you lost some, that used to be part of the draw in getting a Glowforge. And I think it still is in the basic version.
Right. They got to pay for all that marketing.
They do have to pay for all of that really good marketing.
I'm on their email list.
Yeah.
Bailey at Glowforge never stopped sending out messages.
Right. Yeah. So, and it like they have their purpose, because again, like I've said it several times on the podcast, like I would not be, none of this would exist if I didn't buy a Glowforge. Yeah. So while I have some, things that I don't love or whatever, it was my laser gateway drug, because it opened me up to it. I realized I really liked it. It was very successful for me. And then it got to the point where it was no longer efficient for the things that I wanted to do. So, and then when that happens, it's a good thing and you upgrade.
Some of your favorite projects came from the Glowforge.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And that was the machine you learned on, and you learned what you liked and what you didn't.
Yeah.
Not even just with a time and speed kind of thing, but just from a production standpoint.
Oh, yeah.
You learn that, okay, I don't want to deal with this wood. Give me all the colors of all the acrylics, and I don't want to do it. And I really do like wood. Like Robin is one of my favorites on her Facebook, because I love that she uses, all the 4 or 5 colors in one design, and how you can get those variations in the way. And I like the smell of things too. And I shifted more to wanting to do like art pieces or things for people, or one of a kind. I thought I wanted to do production style items, like cut 5 1 cake toppers, cut 5 that are a drum or something like that. But I really enjoy the one-of-a-kind type of things, and that's not always sustainable long term. Right. I don't know how long that will be, but in this season, in this current space that I'm at in my life, where I have small children at home, I don't really have time to market a ton of these things. People come to me because they need their logo turned into a sign.
Right.
Something like that.
Well, and I like how you said that too, because it's your current season. It's what works for you now. It's okay if that shifts. It's okay if now, cool, I want to do production. Let me choose a couple of the signs that I really like to make, or a couple of the cake toppers that I really enjoy making. And I'll make several of them and do a drop of, 5, 10, 20, however many, you want to do. And just because it doesn't work right now doesn't mean you can't do it, right now.
And then I don't have the looming over me of the cost of the large machine,
which,
well, of course, was a huge factor in purchasing it, because I've been on Glowforge's list for years, but I could never pull that trigger of thinking, what if I order this and I hate it? So the room I was in before, when we first started, I'm cleaning. That was my old office, and I'm working on cleaning out for my youngest, and it's taken me forever because it's reminding me of all of the project. I was like, I'm a serial crafter. I've been crafting as long as I can hold a pencil or a pen.
Right.
I make things always.
Yeah.
But that also means that I've had, every hobby under the sun. I'm cleaning out resin things, and I used to do like poured concrete, and I've hand painted the signs.
It's really hard not to buy those things. The only reason I don't get into resin is because I'm too lazy for the PPE. But I would really love.
Steps. That's why I'm not still doing it.
Yeah, the drying without bubbles, and the drying without hair. Like there would be 1 or 2 bubbles, and I'd want to throw it in the trash. And I'm too much of a perfectionist and also impatient for resin. But I'll just, that's why I have friends who do it. So if I really want it, then I just make my friends do it who are good at it.
I'll make you something pretty,
right?
Because there's so many, and there's parts to everything. So many parts. And gone down the rabbit hole with the laser, even though I'm trying to keep it contained. It's in my garage, and I have like one half of the garage, but I still want to be able to park in the garage. So I'm trying to keep it all on one side with neat racks, and working with trying to stick with 2 colors as far as wood choices go. And I will paint, or just painting the MDF. Because I don't want to have all of these shelves. I know what it's like trying to clean up that room. I've been posting lots on the D-Stash craft groups this week.
I posted some today.
to get so that it can go to new homes and people can start their own new crafting thing, and entire jewelry line stuff, because I used to make all the different kinds of jewelry. You still fighting it?
Of course, it's never gonna go away. I feel like it's my new thing. Crystal, the coffer. Mm-hmm. Listen,
I was just gonna say your maiden name.
My maiden name is Kaufman, so it shows its ugly head again. When I was a kid in school, it was Crystal Kaufman, and they'd be like, "Oh, man," and I'm like, "Oh, I've never heard that one before." Heard it all the time.
Kids.
Yep, gotta love them.
But let's see, where was that? About low cost of entry. Of course, that was the main reason I got into it. Introduction to industry standard software was on my list. So quite a few, and they're adding more all the time. I noticed you had Jason Dory on the podcast like in the beginning, but Lightburn is a software that they use. Nice. And that is something that is not always, of course, it doesn't come with Glowforge. Right. So that really, I think, handicaps
definitely
when they go into
internet based is another. Yeah, it's hard because when it would go down, like you couldn't do anything. Right. If your internet wasn't working, you couldn't do anything. So yeah.
So that one's good to use because you get to learn it already and learn it from a starter standpoint. But it's not also your only option. They usually all do come with their own proprietary softwares also. Okay. And that's not like I can only speak for the license that I have. So with xTool and MakeBlock, they also have proprietary software, and theirs is not internet based either. So it's download it and you get the updates as it goes, and the updates are free. Now with Lightburn, of course, you pay for the year. Each year, your update. And they're working really, I have to say this for them, like they are working really hard to continue to make sure that it's a good experience. So I've had the opportunity to be a part of like their beta test groups for their new software programs. They asked for volunteers for their mobile app. So I have the beta test for the mobile app and things like that. I want like their extension. I have extension rails on my machine. I've got on notes. We'll talk about that later, but additions on the machine. Yeah. And then they want the feedback. So it's a lot different when you're actually in a Facebook chat with people who work there every day. Right. And you can talk and I can send them videos. It's a lot faster than when you maybe like you're sending an email to customer support. Right. Whereas I'm in the Facebook group with like 10 other people and we're sending them feedback about how things are going or if you face challenges. And they're always looking for volunteers for that. But sometimes people get so caught into either wanting to complain about things, like you can do something to help it. Right. You can be a part of it and let them know what tools that you are looking for. Right. And what tools, because they want the software to be comparable to other programs as well as people not want to go to a third party. Because of course they're a business, they want to keep you there. So if you tell them the things that you need in order for it to advance you in your business, they're trying their best to make that happen. And I think that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're about to ask me about the
the extension rails. Yeah.
So the one that, when we go to reasons I chose it also was cutting size space. So I was just looking on the website because they are always coming out with new things. So I was checking the prices of currently active. So I have a 10 watt, and the 10 watt right now they've come out with like a pro version, and right now it's $699 plus like free shipping. And cutting space on a standard machine is about, they have an assembly like about 15 by 17 inches. So you could do like a 15 by 15 square, like with it's like edge to edge. If you're engraving or cutting something. But the extension rails take your machine from being a square, because the outside is about 24 by 24, so it fits on a 24 by 24 tile, which is what I would have it on in the garage. It takes it to a long rectangle. So now my space is 36 by 17. Oh, wow. As far as like my cutting and engraving space. So I can make items in length up to 36 inches. And I have yet to run out of room with a 3-foot span on a $600 blazer.
So that just reminded me that it's like an open system. So how does your venting work on?
Well, now they have a few options for that. Depends on what you're doing. So of course, like if you're engraving something that gets smoky, you might want to, because they do have exhausts and they have enclosures. Now I have mine in my garage, so I usually will just open my garage door. I have it set beside the back door. So I'll set up a fan and I'll go out this way, but it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm doing maybe like a flask or something like that, I don't even use air assist. So I don't I don't need to blow away fumes, but if I'm doing wood, then of course I want to blow it out.
Okay.
But there's an enclosure box to go around it. It zips up. They have it in 2 sizes for the standard and for the extension. And then people who have a lot of time have already made like their own plans for plexiglass boxes.
Right. Yeah.
So some people build like a whole entire contraption.
Yeah.
I just say I go straight with the fan because I got it to not be, I got it to not be complicated.
Right. Yeah. Keep it simple.
Right, and in the garage, you have that big door.
I have a whole door.
Open the door and, yeah.
So that works, unless it's late at night and I got the bat like coming at me. But
right, yeah. Yeah, you don't want to be lasering with bats if you can help it.
You don't want Batman in there?
No. It was awful. But they have a few options for that, and they also have their own filter boxes for them. So they have a lot of different accessories that you can add on if you need them. But again, it's going to depend on what you're doing. So if somebody's only doing, stainless steel, maybe you shouldn't just like stand over it and do like a deep whip.
You're right.
While it's lasering, but also you need to be wearing glasses. But you can stand here while it's going right there and not pass out. But it's always still advised to be in a well ventilated area.
Yeah, for sure.
And with the extensions, those are an add-on, but it was a really good add-on, and that's like $170 is what they're running at right now to expand your space. So of course I didn't really know that much about K40s when I got this one, but now knowing that comparable with the price range, so somebody is looking at like comparing between the two.
Okay.
Now with the K40, of course, you got your clear acrylic, white acrylic, and of course any other materials that you want to do. But you're limited to that like sheet of paper size space, so you need to cut down all your materials. Okay. I will get the quarter sheet not 4x8. I guess you get the 2x4 at Home Depot, and I'll cut my sheets myself with the laser, which is an advantage because I've got enough space that I'll just slide the sheets in sideways, support them on a sawhorse,
right,
and let the laser cut them down.
And so that's a good point. There's certain colors of acrylic that you can't do on a diode, right?
Correct. Like it's a blue light laser, and I don't know what makes it blue, but for some reason, because it is blue, things that are also bluish don't cut. The actual color blue, like this pen, like the actual color blue, and then clear because it reflects in itself. And white for the same reason.
Okay.
But black cuts wonderfully. And I cut black like almost every day.
Yeah. It's a good choice.
Red. I say black and red do very well. And your dark colors, green, yellow, and it's kind of opposite of blue. So orange is opposite of blue on the color wheel, so that also cuts wonderfully. And then things like clear acrylic. You can engrave clear acrylic, but you have to do like extra steps. So what people usually do is either if it's a piece of like plexiglass acrylic, they'll put a sheet of black cardstock underneath it and reverse the image. So that when you engrave it, it'll show up right side because the black underneath it stops the beam from going through all the way. It kind of like reflects back up. Same thing with glass. Some people do glassware, barware, shot glasses. We were talking about attachments, tumbler attachment. So if everybody loves their tumblers right now, and everybody's doing them, but the rotary attachment is not limited to a tumbler, and it is one of the few machines that you can purchase a tumbler for that is a diode that you can get the entire system and be out the door for like under $1,000. It's like if somebody wanted to do a tumbler business, So the ones they have now, it has it has like the claw grip, of course, and then it has like 3 fingers, and then it has also like all those parts come with it. So you could do, of course, your basic tumblers. You can do your pens, rings, like wedding bands, what else? Wine glasses, anything that you can grip with fingers, you can grip with that attachment. Whether it be big or small, people do baseball bats because again, you've got all this space, or you can, because it's on a gantry system and it's open. You can either raise it up on something, or it also comes with feet to have like 4 extra legs, so I can make it much taller.
Okay.
And slide whatever that large item is that might be
Underneath
underneath
right,
that.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
any like large item, or take it somewhere and set it on top of something.
Right.
I could pick it up and bring it to my dining room table if I wanted to put like our
Right.
monogram in the middle of it.
Well, and I think I've heard there's some people who take them to like shows and stuff. Obviously, probably especially like an outdoor show or a craft show or whatever, to add personalization on the spot, because it's easier to transport than, you know, any of us who have the big lasers, even a Glowforge, like they're not easy to.
Well, and the venting.
Yeah, the venting, and even a Glowforge is 75 pounds, and so I've heard people, you know, bring them. It's an easier, it's more like a travel size kind. It can be travel.
It can be. Now that I've got the extensions on mine and I don't like take them off, I can, but who's doing? I'm not doing that. No. It took me an hour to put it together.
Right, exactly. You're taking this off, yeah. But probably just like everything else, you got to keep stuff level and all of that stuff too, right?
I do if I'm cutting something, but engraving is definitely very forgiving, especially if I want to take it to a show. So that would be an excellent business model to get into, is engraving on the spot, because people love things with their name on it, and they love the option to put their name on it, especially if they have a unique name, so they can never find theirs on the keychain. Ferris wheel.
Right, exactly.
A name on a keychain takes a minute, maybe.
Yeah, right.
So
it's quick even on a slower laser. Yeah.
Those that you could do back to back to back. You mentioned Mr. Will Louis before, here when you were doing the sponsors. I went to check. I mean, I've ordered from Crazy Laser Dynamos before, but I wanted to just make sure and check everything on the site before I said it. So you can order everything from him, even his crystal ornaments and stuff. Yeah. Everything that he sells, you can engrave on a diode laser.
Nice.
So he could be your first supplier if you're someone who hasn't gotten into like buying in bulk or things like that.
Right.
Maybe once they are used getting like established in a business, go to like JDS and get it like really wholesale type of prices and much more. Bulk.
That's a good like business tip that doesn't really come up much. Getting your resale license. If you're getting like a lot of blanks and like the keychain thingies and the things that I source from elsewhere, you don't have to pay, and because if without your resale license, if you're not like legit or you don't file for it, I mean, I was legit for the longest time and didn't even know it was a thing until it was required for some of the wholesalers, and you end up paying tax twice. So it saves you that tax up front on purchasing it, and then you take care of the tax when you sell it, you know? So it's something that I feel like we don't talk about enough, because people, you know, and especially just starting out, they won't want to go to JDS because, they don't have a resale license or whatever. But
feeling intimidated in the beginning, thinking that it's a lot.
Applying for an account, I remember how intimidating and scary that was, because it was like, I don't even know what I'm doing yet. Like, what do you mean I have to like apply for account? Like, what does that mean? Like, and that stuff can be hard, because like, I swear when you set everything up, every time you turn around, there's something new you need to set up, or there's something new you need to make sure you have, or there's someone trying to scam you, telling you that there's something new that you need to have, like,
and that they can set it up for you, like all those
and
websites that say we'll set up your LLC for you,
right?
But your Secretary of State's website just has the printout.
I warned him because I changed from a sole proprietor to LLC, and he filed for his first company and LLC, and I didn't think to warn him about it, but then we got the mail, and he was like, "What's this? We just got something about some documents or something."
It, and I'm like, "This looks a lot like the fake marriage license stuff."
So you did have at least,
and I was like, "Hey,
background
is this legit, or is this like one of those marriage licenses?" And
right? Because it was like $800 or something like that, and I'm like,
it sounded like everything,
and it looks official. It looks official because it'll say like Florida something, and it'll look like a seal, and it's not the Florida seal.
Right.
And like they make it look really official, and they take advantage of new business owners who don't know better.
And if it wasn't because of Katie in the Gallo group that we had on.
Right.
Who did all of our stuff for us.
Right.
When I got there, I'm like, this is something that Katie, I think, would have taken care of. But I was like, let me ask you just in case.
Yeah.
You got an email that maybe I didn't from her saying, hey, look out for this thing and make sure you file it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, for sure.
They find any way to like get you. And they do that with like mortgage stuff. They do it with cars. They like, they find any way to get you. So
they definitely do that with the mortgage thing. I had a guy show up at my house when I was younger. I bought my first home. Yeah. And he was saying he was there to sell me security and stuff. And I'm just irate because I'm like, one, who gave you my address? Right. Why did you just show? I was single then and stuff. So I was already like paranoid. And
yeah. Yeah,
like,
Totally.
Who gave you my address and who told you to show up here? And why are you here? And how you just walked up to my door?
Yeah.
Yes, and getting started the right way.
Yeah, getting started.
Simple for yourself. So everybody who's listening, if you haven't yet contacted your own CPA who are very portable, then just go to your state's Secretary of State website, start there. If it doesn't come from their website, usually they'll also have an office hours you can go by and ask questions. Yeah. That's why they're there. That's why you pay them. Right. So go ask them. If they need something, just go ask them. Yeah. All they can do is tell you yes, no, maybe fill out this. And
and every time I've needed to call, they've been very helpful. Like, it was like, oh, I don't know where to put this, or I can't find, they'll ask you for like your business ID or client ID or something is what they always need when my resale is up. And 1 year I couldn't find it, and I called her and gave her my information, and she gave it to me. So that they're, for the most, they're probably a bad apple everywhere, but for the most part, they're very helpful. So don't get scammed by those, but get you a resale license if you're buying anything like wholesale pricing, because again, that's going to be the smartest for your business as well. Because if you're paying that tax up front, you now have to charge them more money that you wouldn't necessarily have to charge them, because you can get it at a cheaper, more affordable rate for your business.
Exactly. Yeah. And so start with the blanks from Crazy Laser Dad. Yes. Because you can figure out if these are things that you like, what items you like. That's your test, your settings, and then you get them in 100 from from the wholesaler. Yeah. What things you get? We talk about things that you can engrave or cut, because really, if you end up going like to my Etsy or something, I cut all the time. It's not a cutter, but it's not.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, what thickness can you cut through? Do you have to do like several passes? Like how does that work?
1/8 and a 1/4 inch on a pretty consistent basis. I will usually use 1/4 inch for things like backers of signs in the back part. Anything
that you don't want to do anything complex. Yeah.
Or just so if everything's going on top of that. So that might be and that's if I'm doing wood. If I'm going to need an acrylic piece that big, I will usually order those. And it's not that I can't cut them, but it's just more cost effective to order the price. Yeah. So some places,
it's more wear and tear on your laser too.
That is, but those are kind of meant to run at 100% all the time, which is something that's a note. Because when people were using the CO2 machines, and I really didn't understand that when I started.
Oh, true, because of the tube. So there's no tube.
Right. Oh. So when it's running 100%, they're clocking in at like X amount of hours. I can run 100% for 8 hours a day for like 8 months. And then like, okay. But also if I needed to buy another one, the replacement actual just laser part is like $399. Or I could just buy a whole new machine.
Right. Yeah.
Or at that point, I can just buy a bigger machine. It doesn't. All the above are fine. So if I can just replace that piece, I could buy an entirely new machine. Sometimes you could just replace it. If you have replacement lenses in there, so that's usually what's the thing that you're going to end up replacing. I've replaced lenses before, and the glass lenses at the worst are $16. That's like when they're not on sale, or at the best, if you're buying them from some people who have decided to wholesale those, and they're in the laser groups, then you can get I think 10 of them for $20.
That's another tangent business tip is to have what are they called, consumables or whatever.
Yes.
Have those extra things on hand as much as you can, especially with a Glowforge, because one, they're hard to get sometimes, and their parts literally sell out. And if there's a part that's sold out or on back order, that means like you have no laser,
Right.
or you have to like let them send you a refurb or whatever. So get all of the extra consumable parts that you can for your Glowforge, because if you don't have them and they go out, you're gonna want them.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, a lot of times it's the cheapest thing. So when you get to that point in your your business, especially if you're just starting out, if you have a couple extra hundred that you feel comfortable spending on something, spend it on those consumables and have them as extra. And say you upgrade or you sell your laser, though adding those in with your laser just makes it that much more of a sweeter package for whoever you're giving it to. So even if you don't use them, they're still good to have. And it's not something I did or you even really knew it was kind of a thing. It's not something anybody really talked about. And then my black lid cable went out and I was out. I was down for a week, and that was with me telling them immediately. That was with me paying for overnight shipping. That's just how long it took for the back and forth, for them to send me an invoice, for me to pay it, for them to see that I paid it and then ship it. You know what I mean? Like it's a whole thing. So even if you're like on top of it, it takes a while. And so
and that's the time that you're not making products and you're not making money.
Right. And so even if you can't, thankfully there are people in the groups who know that and kind of stock up on that. And there's some awesome people who, literally charge like what it cost. Or if you have Glowforge credits, I think you can get,
you can transfer them or whatever.
Well, no, but you might get a discount on those things. So they may charge at cost, but they potentially pay just under cost or whatever. But anyway,
there's have to pay for it.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because if it's a referral credit, you didn't really have to pay for it. It's referral credit for referring somebody. But now you can help somebody with the parts or whoever if they can't stock up on it or they didn't think to stock up on it. But yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely good probably to keep those on hand.
Yeah, probably really ruining your list. Sorry, but things just keep coming up. I can't control this brain of mine.
No, it's on there, but just around the out.
Yeah,
because that is I think that's one of the benefits is having parts that are easily accessible and that are affordable.
Right.
And that some of them you could order on Amazon if necessary. So things like the belts on the sides. Now you can order, they're not that expensive, but other people have found where other machines, because it's a machine, so they didn't completely manufacture they put the pieces together, but they didn't create the belts, they didn't create the gantry systems. So the pieces can be found from other manufacturers. So they've got links where you can get the belts if they happen to be out of them. Other people have found the mineral glass that's in the lens. So, and they started selling them, but there's links to find them like certain plastic and glass suppliers around the US. And they've been compiling these lists, and they're usually in the laser groups, in the xTool groups in their files. And they have like xTool D1 owner group, which is only it's not run by the company, it's by people. Yeah, which is always been like get in both. Get in the one, but because the one that's run by the company, you find out about like freebies and contests and the fun stuff. But they also really police their group because it's theirs. And then if you get in the one that's only run by owners, you get kind of
the cheat codes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, the cheat codes. No, I do have to look at them and see what.
What else? What other benefits we got?
Benefits of the laser. Okay, so we said about low cost to entry. So if you're going to get in the game and figure out if you like it, because like my example, my craft room, I'm only still 7 months into this. So, but it's not 7 months into laser, not 7 months into business things. Right. But I shift. It depends on what's going on in my life and what I want to do. And as quickly as you get into it, there's people who as quickly get out of it. And if you didn't invest, your 401k into it, you don't have to stress about it if you decide I really want to do this, because there's lasers for sale.
Because I spent $10,000 on it, and it's a lot harder to sell or offload. Yeah, it's definitely different.
And with your $10,000, at least you paid for it, outright.
I did.
Yes.
That was, and the craziest part of that, again, shout out to Glowforge, was when I put my, so before I even did it, because you have to put 50% down, and then the other 50% is due once it's ready to ship to you. Well, I wanted to have not just the 50% and drain my business account. I obviously needed funds to keep going.
You need cash flow.
So I think I wanted like an additional, I don't know, 2,000 or 2,500 or something. I wanted to be almost all the way there,
right,
before I put down the 50%. So I put down the 50%, right? Like I wasn't to the goal that I wanted to be, but my machine was pissing me off. I kept getting what Heather and I call ghost lines that are just like, I think it's when you have a really complicated SVG engrave file, it kind of throws off the system. And I will say that it has even happened on my Eon. So again, I'll throw a little bone to Glowforge. It's not only Glowforge that it happens on. It is typically, it seems to be on the more complicated files sometimes. But literally, and again, when you're engraving on a Glowforge, it takes a lot longer.
Right.
And so you do a 30-minute, 1 hour engrave, and this ghost line goes straight across your thing, and now you've completely ruined it. You've ruined whatever the material is, and now you've wasted your time, and you have to do it again.
Right.
And so I kept getting them, and they were just like, and I was having like these, little minor issues with my machine, and I was like, I'm done. Like I gotta have, some other backup plan. I was I was starting to get really busy. I was having like the best month, for my files that I had yet and still have had. And, and then I put the 50% down, and then and I almost bought a Mira 7.
Right.
Because it was cheaper, and I was impatient, and I was like, no, let me get what I really want, because they're heavy AF. They're not easy to like, sure, you can upgrade, but like it would be a pain to try and find a buyer and get it moved and move the new one in and all that. So I was like, let me just get the one I really want. And then 2 weeks later, I made the other half of the laser, and it was paid off before, like months before it even shipped, which is crazy. So, and it did help a lot. This big mammoth, scary, expensive machine, at least when it showed up, it was a lot less intimidating when it was already paid off.
Right.
It's like, I don't have
low stress. Well, I mean, it might be stressful to use it, but you at least had low stress in the effort of, because here's what I didn't want to happen was I ordered something, because I've been on Glowforge's mailing list forever.
Yeah.
I didn't want to order something like that or different at OMTech or whatever machine it was. If I had to buy it on, credit or finance it, and then it arrives, and here's my immediate thought. Oh my God, I've got to make something. I need to make it right now because I have to make this
How many times
tomorrow.
do you see those in the group where my laser arrived? I need to pay this $5,000 laser off. I need to pay this $10,000 laser off. What's your best seller? And it's like, it's not that easy.
Like that.
What's his bestseller is not my bestseller. What's his market is not my market. What his skill and knowledge is not my skill and knowledge. So it's like,
and they leave no time to test.
Right.
That's also on the list, is that you have to test everything. Chalk it up to a loss. You have to test all of your materials, and you have to test them every time you get something from a different person. So because
even from the same supplier, like acrylic. So like some acrylic, it has more tolerances than other, depending on supplier, depending on the process it's made. Like the red pearl acrylic, I think it's partly the specialty acrylic and partly the supplier that they would get it from. I would have more tolerances, and that's not good if not that it's bad, but it makes it a little bit more difficult if I'm doing something slotted. And so I ran into issues with that. But like, that's testing that, I cut acrylic all the time, and I still have to like do testing and
every time.
Yeah.
And I keep like a running note list in my in notes on my phone, and since everything syncs from Mac.
Right.
So running list of where I got it from, if I'm checking something new, because like the Glowforge black acrylic, they're 1/8. That was like the first one I ever tested because they sell it at Michael's, and I just wanted to see if I liked it. Then the second one, I think I bought like 6 sheets from Houston Acrylic, and that one, and I feel like their coating
Shout
on
out
theirs
to our
is
other
different.
ad
Courtney.
sponsor.
Yep.
Thank you, Courtney, and everybody else.
Sorry. Yeah, I know there's another lady, and her name always escapes me. But
Chelsea.
I saw it in the Chelsea.
Yes, Chelsea, right? Yeah.
She's a contributor for the magazine. I want to say like last month. I was just looking at the laser everything.
Yeah.
But either way, and then the next group of ones that I bought was from Smoky Hills Designs, and that too I've gotten from repeatedly because I also get like the walnut and the white birch and stuff from them.
Yeah.
And their paper is different than because there's more like paper mass, and the Houston acrylic one is more like a plasticky type of paper. Like I feel like it's got a coating on it, like a waxy kind of coating.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit different. So if you want to engrave it, if I'm going to engrave it, I'm usually cutting. But if I'm going to engrave that acrylic, I'm like, okay, this one I can leave it on. This one I need to take it off. You don't know that until you have your machine in hand, and you got to take the time to test everything.
Yep. Well, and you're just adding all this extra pressure on you that when I do that to myself, I'm going to fail a lot more because now I feel like I have to do it right now and I have all this pressure and I'm rushing and I'm not thinking it through properly and I'm not like taking the time to like, okay, do I have this right? Did I look in all the places I can think of? Did I see if anybody has some recommended settings for my machine for this material from this supplier? You know, those kind of things. If you're just like, I need to make money right now, you just, and that energy will probably pass on to your buyer as well. And they're like, oh, I don't want to buy right now. Or I don't like, you know,
now you have those stress pressure type of postings.
Right.
Everything's on sale. Customers don't have a chance to build and that goes into about getting into it a little slower and buying a machine that you can afford or usually be able to cash flow or at least not go into massive debt. Is that you can establish yourself kind of as an authority in whatever industry that you're getting into. Right. And that goes for any type of business. Is that you have to establish that like no trust as a business for people to want to purchase from you if you do not have an existing client base. Right. Exactly. So like I had a business. I've been decorating cakes for the last 15 so years. I have like 3,800 followers on my Facebook page for cakes. But not one of them wants anything from me. Maybe two. But but that's not many. What they want.
Well, it's a whole new base.
They want to know, when are you getting back to baking cakes because my baby's birthday is in May. Are you done with your break yet?
Hello, it's about me right here.
They're not interested. So that's building an entire new client base. People who have to know you for that thing, and you need to look like you know what you're doing, not just scrambling by just throwing a bunch of things at the wall.
Or I've also seen the people who have transitioned either into an upgraded laser or literally from vinyl or to a laser, and those that are like transparent with their audience about, oh, I have this new laser coming, or, you know, surprising announcement, or, you know, new announcement, or, you know, new machine. And you let them know like, oh, I'm trying these. Let's see how they go. Doing a special where like, you know, a contest of, you know, put your name below and maybe I'll make you an Easter tag because I think I want to make Easter tags or something like that. I did that with tumblers. You know, it's like, okay, I did a contest of like, who can I make a tumbler for? And then, you know, they either get it discounted or free. And now they have to be patient with me while I learn my rotary or my laser or whatever. And there's ways to do it that one takes the pressure away from you that like you have to make money immediately, but that they can also kind of be involved in the process as well. And like, you know, see your successes, and hell, I share the fails too, because those are funny, or, you know, and everyone relates to that because it's like, you know, we all fail, but then we all
try something new. before
right. Exactly.
that they weren't as comfortable with. So I know you had Brittany on your client. It was like early days, but Brittany from Design House by Brittany.
Yeah.
And she was doing some head table signs. This was maybe in the last month or two. And she was right. It wasn't so much a contest, but everyone who follows it, if you're watching her stories, she said in her stories, I'm going to take maybe like 4 to 6. I can't remember how many she said of head table signs because she needed new ones for her portfolio.
Right.
Because these to take pictures. So these are going to be discounted at X amount of rate.
Right.
And here's a link like to purchase them. And that's a really great way for anybody who's if you need to offset the cost because you need the photos and you want to have lots of different pictures. And if you're like me, like I can only make so many things
like
with
Mark,
with my child's name on there.
When Mark tests something, it's always like, especially if it's anything about love or like marriage or whatever, it's Mark and Angela or Angie, I think is her name. And he has a million things in his house. Like if he's testing an award, it'll be, Mark 1 or Angela 1 or whatever. And so then it's like he has this thing and it looks nice, but then now he has a million things in his house or his garage or his office. And so it's a great way to, one, get your practice with the patience of, like a looser timeline. And then it does, you get the pictures and then it doesn't stay in your house.
Especially that last one. I don't need
Yeah.
anything else to be in the house. And I would say when I first I thought I wanted to do it when you first start, you're not sure what you want to make. So I want to do the baby names and then not even so much baby nursery signs, but I was putting like kids' names on stuff. So I have 2 kids, so their names are on everything. But now that I've made one of everything with their name on it, and then the neighbor has a baby who just turned 1, so they have to have their name on it. Now it's enough names. Now I make something with a name. It needs to be for a person, or I will make it and not actually stick it down. So maybe it's like a layered monogram.
Right.
Like
there's ways to mock it up.
Stick it with the with glue dots.
Yeah.
So that at least I can use half of it.
Right. For sure. Yeah. What's her name? Tabitha with Laser Llama. She did the hats. She did hats for us. Which we need to list those on. We need to list those on the website.
It's been busy.
It's been a lot. I don't know when we're gonna ever get it together. I haven't turned on my laser since like December. Anyway, she was doing hats for us, but we were trying out his new logo and stuff. And she did mock-ups for it. And she did cut it, actually cut them out on the leatherette. But thankfully, again, you're not using a ton of it. And then, she stuck it on the hat to do mock-ups and be like, how do you like it? And then she can show it to us without actually having to do it. So that way it's like, I thought I would like it, but, I don't. And then it's low cost for both of us as far as trying something.
But we like it.
Yeah, we did.
Which is good that you did like it. But even with that, I would do I'll just take, do my own mock-up pictures and I do this with cutting boards especially. Take the photos and just take them head on so that I can add the graphics on top.
Right.
And use that as the base because I got into cutting boards. I didn't even think I would like them, but I was doing one as a test because you test things and I'm testing a recipe one. And I posted it on a Facebook group and the lady ended up ordering 3 for her grandmother who had recently passed and she wanted to get 3 of her grandmother's recipes put onto them. And that has become my, personal best-selling item. Yeah. And I didn't think I wanted to do it because I felt like cutting boards were so typical.
Right. Yeah.
so usual, so like ordinary. So like everybody does
what
them.
Makes it not typical and ordinary is what you're engraving on there.
Right.
Doing those, and so I've never personally done one of the recipe ones. But one of my favorite things to make that I don't really get to make that often is something with someone's signature or handwriting or like I made the tumbler for Lindsay's mom where it was all of her mom's grandkids and I was like, can you please ask all of the grandkids to write their own name and so it's in their handwriting and it's something she'll cherish forever. And one of my amazing students sent me an email the other day and she couldn't find something in the course. She didn't know, where it was. She knew it was in there, but didn't know where. And she emailed me and she's like, oh, look at these keychains I made. Cause in the course, I showed how I turned JR's handwriting that said like, you know, love you mom, or I love you mom, or something, into a keychain that you can, you know, keep forever. And her mom had passed away in December, and she turned her mom's, you know, signature, I think it said love mom or something like that, and she turned them into keychains for her and her siblings.
Family, right.
Yeah. And it's just like, that's stuff that like, those, you know, it's not just a keychain, or it's not just
it ends up being an heirloom, and that it just kind of fell into that. The one lady asked, I posted the photos. I actually had a lady, she reached out to me, also from Facebook, and her children's father passed away about 2 years ago now, and she was cleaning, like pulling out Christmas decorations. This was this past holiday season, and she found a gift tag that he had said like "Love Dad" on it. And she sent me the picture. She's like, I don't know if you can use this, if it's, you know, if it's okay to be able to, but she wanted it put on an ornament for them. And she also had a text message saved from him that he sent to one of the kids. Her children are teenagers now. And I pulled like the text from the text message, and actually made like a little cell phone ornament.
Right.
So the screen had
I love that.
Yeah, his message engraved in it, and then had "Love Dad," and I just threw them in like some extra keychains and stuff like that. Like all like anything that can make extra. Like
right.
You mentioned Mark on his website. He has his free, like the free files, and one of the ones that he has is the it's a keychain, but it's a cell phone holder.
Oh, right. Yeah.
With the slot in it. So I made both of them though.
Funny story about that keychain holder. And also speaking about police officers, my friend, I made them in wood because you know, he always encouraged to make them in acrylic, and I made them in wood because I was sick of weeding all the masking, because like it was my logo that was on there. So anybody who ordered from me, like during that time, I included one of the like cell phone holder keychains, and I felt like I said that that's what they were, or I don't know, maybe I left that part out. That's something I would do, is just send it and be like, here, guess what it is. Well, my friend was a police officer, and but anyway, that was nothing to do with the story, but it was just kind of like we mentioned them earlier. She went to try and open a bottle of beer.
Did it break?
Yeah, it was wood, and it was like acrylic probably would have broken too.
Even that, it doesn't have a hook, but
right. But I mean, now that when she said it, like I was like, oh, it kind of does, and especially if like, I don't drink beer, so for me, like it definitely never made that connection. So she like sent it to me. She's like, oh, it broke, and I'm like asking her, and I'm like, how thick is your phone? And she was like,
what
phone?
Oh,
I'm like,
why would that?
Oh no, what did you use it? Yeah, but anyway.
Yes, but I did tell them, and I think it's the only time I've used that file for it, but because I thought it would be good for them since they are teenagers.
Yeah, totally.
To have for them, but then the largest order that I had so far in this 7 months was for a lady. Her mother is in hospice right now, and she sent me kind of like I had to piece together this recipe like in 3 separate pages.
Yeah,
that like some who have for her cornbread dressing recipe, and she ordered 10 of them for all of her siblings and some of her cousins, because it was going to be like their last holiday they were expecting, and they wanted everybody to have a copy of the recipe. And now, like, I love doing them. Like they get me teary-eyed every time. I actually really like doing the people's handwriting, tracing it out. I do on Procreate, and I had Procreate before. I had the lasers to like dabble with other digital art and such, but doing those, I had ornaments that were popular at Christmas that I used my mom's signature from a card that she gave me like for Christmas. It's like Merry Christmas, Love Mom. So that's like engraved across the center, and buffalo check behind it, with like a wood overlay with a snowflake kind of background cut out. So people were sending me card pieces for that. So that just ended up being the most popular thing. So that's the tip, is find something that either, and you may not find it, may find you. So, because I didn't think that was going to be something that I would even really want to do that much, but I really enjoy doing them. They always have a story involved.
I enjoy doing food milestones out of acrylic. Like, who would have, like, you know what I mean? Like,
unique and different.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, there's no way that like I would have thought that would be one of the big things that like I enjoy doing. So yeah, it will often find you by accident, and you only find those things by trying new things.
Yes,
so
you get the space to experiment, which is where we doubled back to the not getting something over your head. You may be able to use it, but if you're so stressed that you have to pay for it very, very quickly so that it's not a burden to your household and your family. Because most people, when you're starting, you don't have all this like money to steamroll into this product.
Right.
You're still,
you don't have a lot of money to
slide
waste on materials and links, and like you gotta kind of be choosy, but at the same time,
and getting like lots of variety, different things. Suppliers, they have variety packs, so taking advantage of those so that you can try out a few different items. Go around your house, go to the thrift store to find all kind of things. So if you are a person who wants to get into tumblers, go to the thrift store and buy their tumblers so you don't mess up the good ones.
And Walmart, cutting boards or whatever, like bamboo, I will warn you, it doesn't engrave the best sometimes, just because of the inconsistencies in it. But I mean, it's still good. There's tons of ways to practice. Flashback to that
with them.
Cutting board that I made your mom with the wood burning tool.
Oh yeah.
Which
my gosh, use handheld. I had about 4 handheld wood burners, so I wouldn't have to change the tips on them. I used to do everything by hand when I had that kind of time.
I made one. That's all I made. It was one. I did one practice one, and then I did one for them, and then we used the tool, I think, as a soldering iron rather than a wood burning tool. Because it's basically, kind of what it is. But yeah.
I like them.
Yeah. Now I can do really fancy stuff on cutting boards, and I don't.
But then also, I don't know how many people here. The local lake is also like what's that? Local landmarks, I guess we'd say. If I'm going to do something that's not personalized, they always sell.
Well, but it's kind of personalized.
Coming up. It's like personalized to the
personalized area. Exactly, and it leaves it a little bit more open. But then it's also like particular, for specific for people.
And people want to get them as like either will buy it for themselves if they've already got a theme going, or they'll buy it as a gift for someone.
Right.
So I have craft fairs coming up, which is I don't even know if I put that on my list, but but getting out into the community to get your face out there, get your name out there, to connect with people. The lady who I mentioned who ordered the 10 of the cornbread recipe, she met me at the one of 2 craft fairs I did right there at the end of the year. And
sometimes they don't turn into like orders right away or sales right away. Or, when I had my consignment shop, I met them because they were in a tent right next to me. And that show, I actually made like $0 after I got Taco Bell on my way home. Like it was a terrible show. But you still make the networking and the connections. And I had somebody order something custom, after the fact. So it's a great way to get your name out there if you're, just trying to get more visibility in the beginning.
And the other makers, depending on what they make, either they're going to be a good connection to find out what other shows are good, or what ones are not as good, or even maybe they need items for their booths. So I've done the QR code signs for other crafters. A photographer, in addition to like just wanting props for their clients to hold, she also wanted like an acrylic sign for her clients to hold, like they said like snapped by. So there
was a lady at one of the first shows that I did who did the signs, the painted signs, but used the silhouette either for the stencil or whatever. And I'm like, if you need any custom shapes cut out, or you want to get any unique, or if you want me to cut out some 3D words for you or whatever, it was great in the beginning, because then it's like they kind of get the taste of it, or they can have some 3D stuff and flexibility without having to buy a laser, if they don't want to, or maybe it shows them the possibilities before having to actually buy any of them, even the cheaper diodes, so it's great networking.
it'll be like the fellow cake decorator who we used to decorate together at Publix like 12 years ago. But she still does cakes, and I do her cake toppers for her. She has a cricket, and she just doesn't. She's like, I don't have time for this.
Right.
So it's like,
I sold my silhouette, and now if I need anything with silhouette, I go find someone who can do it for me.
She's like, it's faster to pay you to make them, and she knows like I'll design it to make some for when I get off of here tonight, because she's working on the mock-up photos for her graduation cakes. So she did some graduation like people silhouettes and the class of 2023 toppers and all that kind of stuff so that she can have photos to take orders. So that works out good for both of us, because she can do her pre-orders because she's got the design already done.
Right.
And then I've got guaranteed sales coming up when it's that time, because now she's taking pre-orders for it, so she knows exactly how many of each topper that she needs for each style. Yeah.
Is there any other like tips that we didn't get to that you really wanted to mention, or?
I know we glossed over everything. We're talking about small business merchandise, templates and cutouts for other makers or just local people. Party side blanks is a great one to get into for diode lasers, whether that be wood or canvas, because the thing with the lasers that you're going by power settings, so you can mark a regular canvas and just draw on it. I mean, the same way you can draw on paper with your laser. You can mark out your templates on your canvas, do a ton of them, personalized party blanks. That's a not an easy business to get into, but it's low cost and quick, and people always need it, and they don't have to order them online.
Right.
Leather everything. Yes, everything party, everything event.
But so you are an affiliate though. Is there? You did send me the link. Is there a code or anything for the people who can't write the link right now?
Oh, well, I think it'll be like in the description.
Yeah, we'll put it in the description
down below. Let's see, what is it? No, there's no code because I made a Bitly link. So it's like HTTPS. No, like the bit.ly.com.
Right. Okay.
Get your D1, and it's 6% off of your D1 system. They already have free shipping as long as if you're US, Canada, and like Europe and Australia. So that part's included. And I would encourage anybody, even if you rather use the link or not, to sign up for their mailing list, because they do run promotions and things like that. And then if you order directly through xTool's website, then you're every month you get like a $10 or 10% accessories credit. So if you're like stacking those on top of them, they have specials. Save where you can.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Yeah, we'll make sure to include that in the description. So if anybody's driving, go check when you get home.
And where can people follow you?
I'm on Instagram at k.bromell.design. I'm on Facebook, and it's linked there. Find me on Etsy, kbromelldesign.com. And maybe I'll work on the YouTube to talk to John about that.
Yes.
Let's get to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot for spending some time with us here.
Yeah, very informative.
And stay tuned for our life update coming up next. And we are back with a life update.
What up?
Man, that was a good podcast. Very informative.
Yeah, I like good about adding more like
information.
Because their stories are great, and their stories are motivational, and they're awesome to hear like how they got there.
Right.
And the parallels a lot of us have.
But we also have a lot of people who are like new and who don't know, and kind of want some information as well. So that we got that too. We got that out of the way. We got diodes out of the way. Check.
Right. I forget who the listener was. I have to go back and look and like search in the group and see who asked me. There was someone who asked a couple times to hear more, about diodes.
Diodes. Okay. Well,
I'll make sure to tag her. I don't know. I finally did it.
Right. Yeah. So some big things. Riley Black Media is official. LLC's in. Yeah. Open up a bank account.
Yeah. Got your first payment.
Yep, got my first payment in there. So
exciting stuff.
It's exciting. So if you're following, hopefully you are following. Remix. If you're following me on Instagram, and you saw that the flyer or the groups, because I've been posting them up there too. So running a promo, first 5 people's spots are filling up quickly. So make sure you reach out if you're interested. Also, we were toying around with consultations and stuff. So if you just want some information, feel free to.
If you have questions, like just ask them. Right, it's like it's okay. Like it's we're not gonna.
We're not. I'm not gonna attack you about try to sell you a package. So.
Stacy in the group was like, "Oh, I'm really interested in this because I think reels on Instagram are intimidating for her." And she's like, "I'm terrible at video and recording," and it's like. We got you. You can give her tips on how to give you the best content to make it the easiest for you to give them a good product.
Here's one here's one tip. All it would take, honestly, to get your feet wet and in, you set your phone or a camera or anything. If it's a camera, make sure it's vertical. Same thing with the phone, because this is primarily is going to be for social media. Set it up to record, not time lapse. Because you want to, much like material and stuff, you want to be able to repurpose things.
The flexibility.
Right. You can always time lapse after the fact.
Yeah.
You can't untime lapse a time lapse.
Yeah.
So set the phone up in the corner of the room while you're working and just record yourself working.
Yeah.
And then that can become, I would say, probably 2-3 reels in itself.
Easy.
We could time lapse it. We could do some zoom ins. We can do. There's a lot of things that can be done and not a lot of work.
Yeah. We should. Liz recommended us doing an episode with you.
I'm getting some topics to go live in Laser Outpost.
She meant on the podcast.
Oh, on the podcast.
Yeah. So she wants you in her group. To give some tips and stuff. And she's always asking me, and Heather and I, anytime she posts something, we're like, Mom, Madre, do this, or maybe don't do that, or whatever. So give them some tips, but have you on the podcast and talk about posting on, social media, YouTube, tips that you have, all of that stuff. So maybe we'll fit that into like a bonus episode.
If you're listening and you want that episode, let us know.
Yeah.
How about that? Let us know, and I'll be more than happy to share some tips and tricks and stuff like that. So that is very exciting, and it's.
I made it through. Like I only coughed like a couple times, and they were like little baby coughs. Yeah. I feel every day. I feel like I'm getting something else.
This is the best one.
So far
since it started.
I'm not out of the woods. My energy is crap. I'll do a couple things, or I'll work on something for a couple hours, and then I'm spent.
Right.
So that kind of sucks, because it's like most of the time I feel like I should be in there and I should be getting back to it, but like that energy and jumping back into it, I just don't. I don't have it. Thankfully, the violent cough is gone.
Right.
Like I said, I feel like it feels like there's something threatening, and both the boys are coughing, and it's like, is it allergies?
Yeah, we dealt with pink eye this week.
Jackson thankfully he went to daycare for most of the day today after the doctor's appointment, but on Wednesday, so he was gone Monday and Tuesday because of pink eye, and then Wednesday he went back because he had the medicated eye drops.
Few hours
for like 3 hours, and then I had to go pick him up
with a fever.
Yeah. And because after a fever, they have to be gone for 24 hours without a fever, without fever reducing medication.
Right.
And so it was super fun to pay $255 for daycare this week
for a day and 3 hours.
Right. Not even a full day, because we didn't drop them off until like 10:30.
Yeah. And I picked them up earlier than normal because it was after swimming. Yeah. Great times.
So anyway.
Yeah. So that's that.
that's life.
We are chomping at the bit to share a bit of news, but we can't. We have to hold back. Yeah. But there are things.
It's not a fucking baby.
No, definitely.
Never. That will never be the announcement.
Listen, I hope this is wood. I'm knocking underneath where it's a little more exposed to get that.
I just want to throw that out there. Anything that we talk about, that's definitely not what it is.
It's definitely Riley Black related. But we can't talk about it just yet. Hopefully we'll have something to share with you in the months coming up. But we are looking forward to the
we'll probably be dropping hints and
here and there
stuff like that. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be like hectic. So for a little,
it's gonna be crazy. Yes,
later behind on things, give us a little bit of a
there's
pass,
be a little grace. But the laser conference is shortly approaching. Like super excited.
Less than a month. Like it's not less than a month, but it's like a month.
Well, by the time this airs, it might it'll be within that. So super excited. Can't wait to meet you guys in person. Whoever I haven't met yet. But that's gonna be exciting. times. Just living life.
Yeah, exciting stuff.
And trying to make some moves. So stay tuned for that. And if you listen this far, you're
like
privy.
Us.
you're privy to that information.
Right, yeah.
But yeah. So with that, it's been a great episode of the Riley Black Project with Crystal and John.
Bye.
Maybe we're all done.